All right, we are back. Today, we're going to be talking about the EV market, specifically Nikola. They are going down in a dumpster fire. We're going to talk about them a little bit. Also, going to be talking about XL Fleet, what's been happening with them, and we're going to end it off with Workhorse and Canoe. A little bit of stuff happening with them. So, let's start off with Nikola. Now, as you all probably know, Nikola is trying to be the little sister of Tesla. They are getting into the EV market, but specifically with large transportation vehicles and trucks, not so much the cars. So what happened with them recently is they had a contract with Republic Services. This is a like waste management type of company. They handle trash removal, things like that. They were gonna build, I believe approximately it was says down here, about 2,500 to 5,000 trucks, EVs, no emission vehicles. And Republic Services and Nikola actually decided to part ways on this plan. Now, from what I got out of this article, it seems like Republic is actually going to go ahead with another company in the future for EVs, not Nikola. And the reason for that supposedly is that the designs that Nikola had weren't what they wanted to use, and because of that, Nikola would not be able to design a whole new thing and produce it. So they had to walk away from the plan. Now this is big because Nikola, as you may or may not know, they don't actually have any like products. They don't have any real customers. I mean, they haven't made anybody any vehicles. So all of their valuation from the company is what they might do, what they may do, and they don't have anything going on. I mean, they do, but when you take a hit like this, it makes it a lot harder for people to take you serious when customers that you haven't even fully done a job for yet, they're already leaving you. Like you can't fulfill their needs, their orders. That's a big pitfall for a new company. And their stocks have been absolutely plummeting. If we take a look at their stocks, 12% down this week. I mean, you look at this just in the last day, they're down 10%. They are tanking right now. Also, I don't know if you know much about them, but they had some fraud allegations in the past stating that they can't really do what they're saying they can do. And to be honest, it's kind of living up to that. They can't do anything right now. But I don't know, to be honest, if you've ever seen their truck, their Nikola truck, let's see if I can find it here. Uh, this beauty right here, to be honest, I kind of wanted to see that come to fruition. It's really nice looking. I hope this thing, the semi, I hope this comes to fruition. Like, I think they're nice vehicles, aesthetically at least. They look nice. I mean, in that sense, I hope they do well. I don't want to see the company fail, but if you say you're going to do something, you're going to produce 2,500, 5,000 vehicles, you lose that contract. That's a big deal. Well, move on from them. XL Fleet. XL Fleet, if you don't know, they don't produce vehicles, they don't manufacture. They take vehicles like Chevys, Fords, and they turn them into more of a hybrid EV vehicle without actually manipulating the drivetrain. Which drivetrain, by the way, if you don't know what that is, that's like engine, or not engine, but transmission, the axles, essentially what makes the vehicle go. So it's hard to explain how it does, but it doesn't manipulate the drivetrain. But the whole purpose behind the company is that they don't have to actually manufacture anything, have a facility to produce on a mass scale. They simply manipulate what already exists. And they are currently up as they recently went on the stock market with a SPAC. Now, if you don't know what a SPAC is, that's a whole nother thing. That's essentially a company is already on the stock market. That company buys this other company, and now that company is automatically on the stock market. Essentially, is how it works. In a nutshell, you gotta know more about it. It's not that simple, but you get the gist of it. Anyways, they have been trading up because of this. They are doing very well. If we actually take a look, they've been turning commercial vehicles into electric vehicles. So where Nikola wants to make commercial electric vehicles, XL Fleet's turning them already existing vehicles into EVs. Now, I don't think XL currently can get into something like a trash dump truck, something like that. I don't think they're at that scale yet. But if you look, they were given approximately 350 million in cash proceeds from the SPAC that they merged with, and that is going to be used to develop larger commercial trucks, apparently electrify larger commercial trucks. So we'll see if they can get into something bigger, and if they do, that's going to pose a big problem for Nikola. Now, the other competitor Nikola has is Workhorse. Now, if you don't know who Workhorse is, very similar to Nikola. Their main focus is on large commercial vehicles that are run on electricity. Now, what's keeping Workhorse from either sinking or swimming right now at this point is if they can get the contract with the U.S. Postal Service. If you don't know, U.S. Postal Service, they're looking to purchase about 180,000 vehicles over the next 5 to 7 years. Whether or not it's going to be from Workhorse or not, we don't know yet. Now, if you've ever seen those little box trucks that the postwomen, they drive around your neighborhood, those are the least efficient vehicles on the road. They literally get like 5 miles to the gallon. 5 miles, to the gallon. They're made in the late 80s, early 90s. They are terrible vehicles. They are awful. And now, at this point, they're literally catching on fire. I mean, these vehicles are so old. They can't keep running at this point. The U.S. Postal Service, also, if you don't know, they run at a negative. They are not a profitable business. And so, if Workhorse gets this is from a government entity, the Postal Service. So I would say that money is probably guaranteed, even though we know the government, especially with this recent $600 emergency stimulus relief, is not the best handler of our money. But we'll see. If they do go ahead with this purchase from Workhorse is, their stock's going to go through the roof. At that point, they have an actual customer, unlike Nikola, where they were going to do it. Well, Workhorse, they will do it. They will have that contract. They will start producing, and go to the moon with that stock. Last one I want to talk about, I talked about this a little before in my previous video, is Canoo. Now, if you don't know what Canoo is, they're similar to the rest of the stocks I just talked about. An EV startup, specifically with box trucks, though. I don't have there's no photos in this, unfortunately. I really want to show a photo. All I really want to talk about with them is just the fact that their stock, that they are on another SPAC merger, has been up over the past few months. Now, it increased when they made the news that they were going to be merging with Canoo. It didn't increase the day that they actually made the merger. It actually decreased that day, technically. But I think that Canoo, if you look into them, I think they're actually a really nice vehicle. They have a, I'm gonna show you actually. I'm gonna go find this. Canoo EV. Where are they? So these little guys right here. To be honest, and I said this in a previous video, if you want to go check that out, but I stated that this vehicle, I think this really has potential because not so much for performance, but just the fact that we're kind of conditioned to believe that this is what a vehicle in the future will look like. Like, this looks exactly like something out of a cyberpunk movie, like it has that boxy gray aesthetic. Like, imagine this, but like now there's like neon blue and pink like lights reflecting off it at night because you're in the middle of a cyberpunk city, and like your half cyborg, half dog thing is like taking a leak in the road, and this thing comes along and like splashes it or something like that. Like, this is the type of vehicle, this is it. This is the type of vehicle I can see in the future. And I don't know, this company, they just interest me. Like something like this, maybe not. This is kind of ugly. I don't know about that. But again, the EV market right now, it's a lot like early 2000s with tech companies. So many softwares coming out, so many websites, so many things. There was no clear, definite winner. All it really was you had all these companies. We had the bubble, it popped, and you're left with the remaining companies, and a lot of those smaller companies were either bought up or went bankruptcy. And are we going to see that with the EV market? Probably. There's, not everybody's going to be a winner in this market. It's a lot more competitive than software too. I mean, you need a lot of money. You need a lot of infrastructure, right? You need, depending on what kind of company you're going with XL Fleet, they don't need to manufacture anything. They don't need as much, I would say, overhead as a company like this or like Nikola, where they have to produce giant vehicles. They don't have that problem. But with the EV market, there's a lot of capital you have to raise in order to get into this industry. And if you can't seal the deal with customers and get them their products and get a good product to the customer, you're going to fail. And it's not like software, where with software, you essentially just need the software engineers to develop a good software, which, doesn't require a lot of overhead. It really doesn't. And even those companies fail. So the EV market, I think on this channel, probably we're going to be talking about that a lot more because it is an interesting market. It's always developing. Every single day, there's something new coming out about them. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And if you like what I'm putting out, by all means, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you like this or not. If you disagree with what I'm saying, by all means, I'm so open for conversation. I love to hear feedback. Thank you.